Hello, my name is Wildstag, and this is another used book review. The book for today is called The Hidden Life of Deer, Lessons from the Natural World. It's by Elizabeth Marshall Thomas, and as you can see on the cover, it's an uncorrected proof not for sale, which, done goofed on that one because I bought it for $5. I bought it on the East Coast. I know I had it before I went to work in 2019. This book is about the author Elizabeth Marshall Thomas's observations of deer, the wild deer in her New Hampshire home area. It says, one of the most widely read American anthropologists, Elizabeth Marshall Thomas has observed dogs, cats, and elephants during her half-century-long career. In the 1980s, she studied elephants alongside Katie Payne, the scientist who discovered elephants' communication via infrasound. In 1993, Thomas wrote The Hidden Life of Dogs, a groundbreaking work of animal psychology that spent nearly a year on the New York Times bestseller list. Her book on cats, Tribe of Tiger, was also an international bestseller. This book was from 2009, and I guess this copy is first edition. I want to preface this review by saying that of the books I've discussed so far, I've loved all of them, and I've gone back and reread them, each of them, and enjoy having found them and having read them and think back on some of the things I learned on it with some smiles on my face. The Open Space of Democracy is probably the least beloved so far, and even then I like it partially because of the memory of how I found it, and it was a bit cerebral for me, but it was intriguing. The Hidden Life of Deer is intriguing, and it is interesting, but it wasn't the kind of book that I want to reread. Obsessed with deer, in a way. Look, I'm from the East Coast, where deer are a nuisance, a menace. They're problems. They eat crops, they're overpopulated, they end up with diseases that they're constantly spreading. Around 2011, 2012, my brother was driving and he was stopped at a stop sign, and a deer hit his car. He didn't hit the deer with his car. A deer ran into his side view mirror on the passenger side while he was at a stop sign. So, he ended up having to get that repaired. But they're just everywhere out there. And that was in southern Maryland. And that a deer would just run into a car like that. Like I say, they're pests, they're obnoxious, they're a nuisance. She cherishes the deer that she sees. During the winter, she feeds them, feed corn, and she studies the ones. She tries to keep track of the different individuals and who they're walking around with. In the introduction, she discusses Katie Payne and how Katie once told her that advice to students who are eager to join her research team is to start by studying deer, since they're within a mile of almost everybody, and from them one can gain an understanding of what it's like to try to learn from wildlife. So she's coming at them with a scientist's mindset. I want to observe them, I want to take down notes about them. But I don't know how to put it, but kind of just reads like a bleeding heart kind of statement, if that makes any sense. It is interesting, I guess, to some degree. The page I just opened up to says, "Why did I feed these animals against all advice? Because we live in the same place, because they were individuals, because they had relatives, experience, a past, and desires, because they were cold and hungry, because they hadn't found enough to eat in the fall, because each had just one life. One spring before I began feeding the deer, after another terrible winter when our house was dark in the daytime because snow had drifted over our windows, I found 3 deer carcasses near the house, their long winter hair spread in characteristic circles about 4 feet wide with a few bones in the middle. One was very near the house, not 30 feet away, on the south side of a stone wall. Perhaps coyotes came upon her. Or perhaps she simply lay down in the shelter of the wall and died there from starvation and exposure. After that, perhaps coyotes found her. By morning, snow had covered all traces of this very sad event, or I would have seen something. I did not report these carcasses to the game warden, only because I didn't think to do so. But every year such carcasses are reported, and when the bones are examined, the marrow is red instead of white. Healthy marrow looks like lard or suet. Red marrow means that every last gram of fat has been used up. Deer with red marrow are too weak to keep going. They lie down and die of hunger and cold. Funnily enough, I don't know if this is proof of this being a uncorrected proof, but no pun intended. But that sentence, they lie down and die of hunger and cold, it doesn't have a period at the end. If I were more scrutinizing, I'd probably find instances of punctuation like that. Again, though, this is a proof copy, so that I wouldn't hold against the author in any way, shape, or form. I just wanted to comment on it because it was kind of funny. It's something you notice. I didn't even mean to pick that page. I opened up the book and was kind of thumbing through it, and right when I was talking about bleeding hearts, it opened up to page 52, the bottom of page 52, and the entirety of page 53 is that passage I just read. And like I say, it seems kind of like a very bleeding heart mentality to it. And best practices I'm used to from the outdoors, leave no trace especially. People don't want you interacting with animals. Anything, you go on any park and they have trash cans designed in very specific ways so that only humans can really use them. Because humans, if they leave the trash cans open, animals will get into it. And you go to dumpsters and landfills, and you'll see bears and eagles and seagulls and raccoons and opossums and scavengers, coyotes, dogs, just taking what they can get from it. And I don't like the idea of someone making a whole book doing that with deer. On the other hand, she does say, I won't repeat the reasons why hunting is good, population control, no other significant predators than us, because everybody knows those reasons. So she is aware of it. She says, I believe that tree huggers like myself overstate the reasons why hunting is bad. This page is kind of stream of consciousness in a way. It's jumping from thought to thought. Hunting is cruel and dangerous, we say. Also, we can't take walks in hunting season, not even if we wear orange vests, because bullets are flying and we'll be shot. Or so we think. One year I did a little research to find out how many people were actually shot by hunters and learned that no people were shot, not even one, not that year, and not the year before, although hunters had been out there by the thousands. One man was shot in the leg with buckshot, but he wasn't hurt badly and certainly not killed. And this, it seems, is normal for New Hampshire. So much for the complaints of we tree huggers. So she does have some awareness of, some self-awareness that it's not the greatest thing to be doing this, but it bothers me. And the book isn't... My online handle is WildStag because I feel a connection to deer and just the nervousness they feel in the woods and in the wilderness. When I go out wandering, I usually go off trail. I'd rather experience the wilderness as it is and not as the way everyone else does. And when I'm out there, I feel skittish and nervous. Every sound I hear, I turn, look in that direction. Maybe it's an animal, a coyote, a mountain lion, something that may hurt me. And it's not. It never is. I rarely, if ever, encounter animals out in the wilderness, especially during the daytime. But this book about deer just doesn't interest me, despite my name online. It's just, I don't feel it. So, it's an alright book. I'm sure there's an audience for it. They might enjoy this, and they might learn something about deer. And I It's not to say I didn't learn anything about deer. I just didn't find it amazing. It's an alright book. I paid $5 for this, and I think I got my money's worth out of it. I've only ever read it the once. I don't think I'll ever read it again. This one is going to live on my shelf. Partially because, but with the uncorrected proof label on it, and that's not even a sticker, that's part of the printing on the cover. That's a cool little bit that makes it more fun than not, So I'll be keeping this copy, and it was good. I just realized I turned to the back page. There's an index page with literally nothing on it. Maybe that's another part of the proof of it being a still edited copy. It was an alright book, The Hidden Life of Deer. You might enjoy it. I don't think I'm the intended audience for it, though. My name is Wild Stag. Thank you for tuning in.